Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, INEC presents certificate of return to President-elect and Vice President-elect in Abuja. Labour Party heads to court to challenge election outcome. Court remands House Majority Leader Adodo Gwa to prison. And on the foreign scene, Sudan police kill protester in anti-military demonstrations. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. The news in detail. The Independent National Electoral Commission on Wednesday presented certificates of return to the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima in Abuja. The presentation by the INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu came hours after Tinubu was declared the winner of Saturday's poll after garnering 8,794,726 votes to defeat his closest rival Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, who scored 6,984,520. The report.
Delivering his acceptance speech, Nigeria's President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu appealed to fellow contestants, the youth and women, to team up with him in the task of making Nigeria a better country for all.
For this to be a victory at all, it cannot simply be a victory for one man or even one party. It must become a victory for all Nigerians who are committed to a greater society.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu assured that the president-elect will replicate his track record of unprecedented development in previous positions in the country.
Total commitment, energy, and be able to put together a team that will serve Nigerian people, a team that can turn around, the very, very difficult situation that our country will find ourselves, and turn, the ship around onto prosperity, and give hope to the hopeless, and be able to bring the youth, the young energy that we have in this country, bring them forward. And he mentioned it too, that at some day, this certificate should be held by a woman, this certificate should be held by a youth, this certificate should be held by an ethnic national that is on the minority. I mean, this is a very profound, strong statement, and confirmation of.
On the credibility of the electoral process, Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, says claims of election rigging are unfounded, while commending the effort of the Independent National Electoral Commission in ensuring transparency and integrity of the process.
I'm as old as Nigeria, and I've participated in all elections since 1978. And in my view, this is the most credible election that ever took place in Nigeria. The fact that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu lost his state and I lost my state, President Buhari lost his state to the opposition, shows that this election was credible, because if there is anywhere we can manipulate or rig the election, it is in the state. So, those that are shouting that the election is rigged are only shouting the election was rigged in places where they won. But in places where we lost and where we used to be very strong and we lost, we didn't complain because we believe in the credibility of the election. So,
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a former Lagos State governor who will become Nigeria's president on 29 May 2023 when he takes over from President Muhammadu Buhari, won in 12 of Nigeria's 36 states and secured the constitutional 25% in 2/3 of all the states. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been declared winner of the February 25th presidential election. Announcing the results of the election, Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission and Chief Returning Officer Professor Mahmoud Yakubu said Tinubu polled 8,794,726 to defeat his opponents in the election. Trust TV's Shafi'u Suleiman reports.
EC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
That was the Chief Returning Officer for the 2023 presidential election, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, declaring the winner of the February 25 presidential election, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was returned elected. The president-elect defeated former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), who garnered 6,984,520 votes, ahead of the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, who got 6,101,533 votes, and NNPP's Rabiu Kwankwaso, who scored 1,496,687 votes. A total of 24,965,218 votes were casted in the Saturday's presidential election across the 774 local government areas of the 36 states of the Federation and Abuja. Tinubu is now to receive his certificate of return from the election management body as president-elect, along with his running mate Kashim Shettima today at 3 p.m. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Winner of 2023 presidential election, Bola Tinubu has promised to build a brighter and more productive society with renewed hope. The president-elect made the statement immediately after his declaration as winner of the election by INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu. Kabir Lawal reports.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu commended Nigerians for participating in the electoral process that culminated into his emergence as winner. He promised to be fair leader to all Nigerians and will be in tune with Nigerians' aspirations.
This is a serious mandate. I hereby accept it. That mandate to serve you, be your servant, and not be your leader. To work with you and make Nigeria a great country.
Tinubu extends hand of fellowship to his co-contestants, saying it is time for political conciliation and inclusive governance.
To appeal to my fellow contestants to let us team up together. It is the only nation we have. It is one country that we must build together. We work together to put broken pieces together. We must work for the unity, happiness, and harmony.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu will succeed President Muhammadu Buhari as the 16th Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on May 29th. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Labour Party says the incoming government will have legitimacy problems owing to the election that brought it to power. The vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Yusuf Dattababa Ahmed, said this while addressing a press briefing in Abuja on Wednesday. He, however, enjoined supporters of the party to be calm and peaceful, saying they will challenge the outcome of the elections in court. Noel Sampson reports.
The Labour Party came third in the election with over 6 million voters trailing behind APC and PDP that came first and second. Ahmed Datti, however, said the elections is not a reflection of the will of the Nigerian voters.
As evident, the institutions of the state and leaders that were supposed to ensure the sanctity of the election, again, and as in the past, collaborated and colluded to subvert the will of the good people of Nigeria. Please be assured of our determination to fight the injustice that have been perpetrated on Nigerians through all legal and peaceful means. While painful, we implore you all to please remain peaceful and calm, as our fight and determination for a new Nigeria is just beginning.
He asked their supporters to be calm and assuring them of fight through all legal and peaceful means.
Let me sincerely thank all Nigerians for their belief in us and for coming out en masse to vote for the Labour Party and for the cause they believe in, the birth of a new Nigeria. We're immensely grateful to the youth obedience, and all support groups, including Nigerians in diaspora, for their sacrifices, conduct, and commitment to a better Nigeria. It is our position that the purported result did not meet the minimum criteria of a transparent, free, and fair election. In addition to the most condemnable attacks, violence, voter intimidation, and suppression, the election was conducted in clear violation of agreed and promised INEC rules and guidelines, the Electoral Act 2002 as amended, and indeed the Nigerian Constitution.
Baba Ahmed then urged supporters to vote massively for the party during the governorship and state assembly elections on March 11th. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council has asked supporters of Atiku Abubakar to remain calm despite the party's defeat in Saturday's presidential election. The PDP candidate came second in Saturday's presidential election, with Labour Party's Peter Obi closely behind him. Labour Party has rejected the outcome of the poll, asking for its cancellation. However, hours after declaration of Bola Tinubu as the winner, spokesman of the PDP Campaign Council, Senator Dino Melaye, said the party will challenge the victory, calling on Atiku supporters not to be perturbed. There's jubilation in Ilorin, the Kwara state capital, over the emergence of Bola Tinubu as Nigeria's president-elect. Some members of the All Progressives Congress took to the streets to celebrate the victory. They were joined by other residents who are related with the election of Tinubu. They walked the major streets of Ilorin, from the GRA to the popular post office and other roads, amid songs and dance. They expressed optimism that the Tinubu presidency will address the needs of common man. The convener of the rally believes the president-elect poses the capabilities to turn around the fortunes of the Following the declaration of APC candidate Bola Tinubu as winner of the presidential election, many Nigerians have been reacting to the outcome of the elections. Noel Samson reports that some Abuja residents want the president-elect to pursue national political conciliation to consolidate the nation's democratic trajectory. The report.
A two-day marathon of collection exercise at the International Conference Center culminates into declaration of Bola Tinubu as winner of the presidential election held on Saturday, February 25th. Some Nigerians speak on the outcome and the process preceding it.
Actually, as a youth, I am not happy with the result, especially what the INEC do. But there's no way about it. As the new president, I promise that, according to Tinubu, that 4 years going to be 4 years. Let's keep that promise.
In fact, we actually played the role of casting our vote for who we wanted to rule us. But it's unfortunate the election was jeopardized, and as such, we have no option other than to, pray and just wish that this government works out.
Current situation now, we are expectant for a change, for new policies that's going to lift the country's economy up.
For now, I have to go back to my drawing board and strategize and get myself prepared for the next 8 years on how to survive, because we don't really know what the new government holds for us.
These Abuja residents held the electoral process and set an agenda the incoming president should pursue.
By the grace of God, the government of Tinubu will succeed. He will do well. Tinubu will succeed. He will do well. The election that brought Tinubu to power was free and fair. There was no rigging in that election. He won the election convincingly. That's what I'm telling you. And people will do well, by God's grace, they will do well.
The agenda of new government or old government are always the same thing. Service to the people. It's general, but it depends on which government they want to start with. People must learn to understand that this is the most fairest election we have had in this country.
The president-elect Bola Tinubu and the Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima will take oath of office on May 29th. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
2023 presidential and National Assembly elections have come and gone, leaving behind many surprises and twists, especially on its conduct and outcome. Some Katsina residents speak on the challenges and lessons learned during the most anticipated elections. Abdullahi Yamadi reports that though the elections were conducted across the 34 local government areas of the state, it was marred by several cases of violence and infractions. His report.
Many Katsina residents believed that a lot needs to be done to educate eligible voters on how to cast their votes to avoid the increasing number of invalid and rejected votes during elections. Experts said the number of invalid and rejected votes recorded during last Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections are alarming and therefore must be corrected.
We need a serious voter education for people to know that yes, their vote counts, and without you coming out, you don't have any reason to come and be complaining of those that emerge as a winner. The number of those people that comes out are very, very small, negligible, which means the political parties didn't even make a very good handwork.
Another problem noticed during the elections was voter inducement by political actors, which called for concerted efforts to address such problem, undermining the nation's democratic process.
Yeah, this time around, they even went back to inducing people with millet, soap, and other things, because there was no money to give. Really, votes were bought, but very, very insignificant as it used to consider, if one consider how it used to be. So I believe there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
On the Beavers malfunction, Katsina residents are of the view that INEC should learn from the mistakes made to improve in the governorship and state assembly elections coming up in few days. A political expert from Umaru Musa Erado University, Katsina, Dr. Jamilu Charanchi, warned Nigerians against voting based on religion or ethnicity.
In that respect, we can say yes, the issue of religious politics is more pronounced this time around than before, because earlier on you see PDP is a kind of the party that harmonize both the two religions. Similarly, the APC, but the Labour Party is even more handled by the Christians, and that is why they are not more getting bought from the more of northern state where the Muslims are dominant. So this should be the issue. That is what surprised people.
However, observers described all the hurdles experienced as strong learning tools towards strengthening the process in the future. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Following the declaration of APC candidate Bola Tinubu as winner of 2023 presidential elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission, the police command in Ogun State on Wednesday morning staged a show of force across Abeokuta, the state capital. The police and other sister security agencies moved around the capital, especially violence-prone areas in the state capital. The State Commissioner of Police, Frank Mbawa, speaking to journalists after the exercise, said the police embarked on the security measures in order to forestall any breakdown of law and order. He also explained that the exercise was also to warn criminals to stay off the state.
We've actually been on a confidence-building patrol. Generally, a confidence-building patrol is a traditional anti-crime measure. But specifically today, this exercise is part of our post-election security measures. It is designed to achieve two specific purposes. The first one is to reassure the law-abiding citizens of this state of our capacity, our willingness and our readiness to continue to secure the public space and provide an enabling environment for their economic, social, and other activities to continue to thrive without any threat whatsoever to their day-to-day activities. And then the second objective is to serve as a tool of deterrence and to send a very strong message to hostile elements that this state and the security forces within the state will not tolerate any attempt to break the laws or to cause any kind of breakdown of law and order within the state.
A magistrate court in Kano has remanded the majority leader of the House of Representatives, Alhassan Ado Doguwa, in correctional custody over charges of culpable homicide and arson. Doguwa was taken before Court 58 of the Magistrate Court in No Man's Land area of the state on Wednesday evening, following his arrest at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport late Tuesday. The magistrate Ibrahim Mansur Yola gave the remand order after the first information report was read and thereafter adjourned the matter to March 7. Earlier, the spokesman of the police in the state, SP Haruna Kiyawa, in a statement said Doguwa and others were arrested in connection with a suspected case of criminal conspiracy, culpable homicide, causing grievous hurt, mischief by fire, and inciting disturbance.
For the two defendants before the court, and the charge has been read and explained to them in Hausa language. And we have collected the case diary from the police, and we are going to study it and issue legal advice this week. So we cannot say much about it because we don't know what is contained now in the case diary. And the Ministry of Justice is being guided by what is contained in the case diary. This is what has happened, and we are going to issue a final legal advice by the next adjourned date when we are coming back to the court.
When is it? Around 5 charges were read to them, but being there is an offense which is capital offense, the court will not take their plea. So their counsel applied for their bail, and the prosecution state counsel objected to the bail, and then the court, the judge, another matter for ruling to 7th March 2023.
Some youths in Kaduna State, under the umbrella of the Center for Citizens Engagement and Awareness, have staged a peaceful protest following the declaration of the candidate of APC, Bola Tinubu, as winner of Saturday's presidential election. The youths, who are in support of the Labour Party in the state, say the outcome of the poll is not a true reflection of the votes cast. The report.
Leader of the group, Isa Abubakar, said many Nigerian youths are disappointed with the outcome of the election and faulted the failure of INEC to transmit results via electronic means.
Nigerian youth felt disenfranchised, Nigerian youth felt disappointed, Nigerian youth felt that the taxpayer money has been misused by the electoral umpire. It is very important we register our displeasure against the INEC. We must say no. The international community must wake up to say no.
Residents in Kaduna also expressed mixed reactions on the outcome of the election.
But with what just happened, without the results being uploaded in the beavers and all of that back and forth thing, and at the end of the day, a winner was announced, I'm not happy with the whole thing. But I just hope that justice will be served, and we should learn from this.
If you felt that the declared winner did not meet the expectation or did not meet the votes to become the winner in the 2023 general election, there is as well a court where somebody can go and seek for his rights and mandates to be reclaimed.
There is no doubt that this is one of the freest and fair elections that have been conducted. I was around at least since 1999, 2003, 11, even up to 2015. This is one of the freest elections. You can imagine some of the heavyweights, by that I mean some governors who have lost their senatorial seats and things like that. So that in itself lends vindication to the fact that the election was free and fair.
The opposition People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State, in a press briefing, said the outcome of the result is unacceptable.
The outcome of the presidential elections, which is very unacceptable because it did not meet the democratic requirements of any modern democracy.
Meanwhile, the Kaduna State Police Command has banned all forms of celebrations and rallies by political parties for or against winners or losers of the just concluded presidential and National Assembly election in the state. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Thank you, Bello, for that report. Now moving on, Adamawa State Government has suspended the activities of local and international non-governmental organizations throughout the state until the 15th of March 2023, when the elections are over. This was made known in a statewide broadcast by Governor Amadou Fintiri, who said it has been discovered that most non-governmental organizations are dabbling into politics in the name of providing humanitarian assistance to people. He warned that government cannot fold its arms and watch NGOs mislead the people and inject divisive tendencies into their psyche.
In furtherance of our desire to reorder the electoral behavior of our people and remove the influence of NGOs who have reduced the statutory mandate to that of one of vote buying machine, government has decided to suspend the activities of local and international non-governmental organizations throughout the state until the 15th of March 2023, when the elections are done. This is done in good faith and in furtherance of our desire to deepen our democracy and protect the humanitarian mandate of the NGO.
The trial of the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, over 109 billion naira corruption charges was stalled at the FCT High Court due to the loss of documents in custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission during an investigation. At the presumed hearing in the suit, the counsel for the EFCC, Oluwaleke Atolagbe, had started trial within trial following the denial by the ex-Accountant General that some of the statements he made to EFCC in respect of the fraud were made voluntary. Idris, who was rearraigned last October, had alleged that the key statements proposed by the EFCC to be used against him in the alleged corruption charges were made under duress. Counsel to Idris, Chris Uche, also told the court that the statement was not part of those supplied to him by the EFCC. The EFCC lawyer subsequently asked for an adjournment to enable him search for the missing statement and serve on the defendant as required by law. Justice Halilu Yusuf thereafter fixed May 11 for continuation of trial within a trial. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, promoting religious harmony. Do stay.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130.
A Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at English squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us on News Hour. Here's a recap of our top stories. We told you that INEC presents certificate of return to President-elect and Vice President-elect in Abuja. You also heard that Labour Party heads to court to challenge election outcome. Moving to more stories, mixed reactions have trailed the outcome of last Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections in Benue State. Those who spoke to Jimmy Adzande said the result of the polls represents a new beginning for Nigeria. The report.
Tinubu Bola Ahmed of the APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
March 1st, 2023 will go down the annals of history in Nigeria, as it was on this day that Nigerians woke up to the news of the announcement of the president-elect 3 days after polls were closed. Though characterized by some hitches, many believe the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has done its best as an election umpire.
There has been challenges here and there, but we appreciate the role that the president has played, and of course, we also commend INEC, for the process of the election and the role that INEC too has played. If you look at the results that came, most especially for the presidential elections, you discover that the results were fair. PDP winning even in Katsina State, which is the home state of the president. And of course, Labour Party, also being able to win in states like Lagos.
The immediate past election has witnessed a lot of rancors from aggrieved Nigerians over what they feel should have been, which turned out not to be. However, just like some other persons will agitate, any grieved person should just approach the court for every necessary action.
The result of the election generally was good. I think at least it was better than what we had in 2019.
For the president-elect who has been working towards this day for over 2 decades, Nigerians are full of expectations as they reckon that he is indeed prepared for the job. To get it right, they said the president-elect will have to work above board to get results for the country.
Then we're hoping that we're going to have a more robust, nation to come, dynamic, and of course the kind of nation, where, we begin to experience some level of economic prosperity.
Nigerians are looking forward for a savior in the midst of stress, a savior in the midst of perilous time.
With a new installed government, even though he's not been sworn in, but there's a lot of hope from the people that maybe something different will happen, drastically different from what we have had in the past 8 years.
The National Coalition Officer and Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakub, in the early hours of Wednesday announced and returned Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of the 2023 presidential elections.
PDP senatorial candidate in Borno State, Muhammad Kumalia, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, NEC, to cancel the elections of 8 local governments in the state. The ex-lawmaker said the elections in Maiduguri, Jere, Konduga, Bama, Mafa, Dikwa, Gamborungala and Kalabalge experienced infractions and manipulations, stressing that INEC disregarded the use of beavers machines and adopted manual voting in the presidential elections, which is contrary to the Electoral Act. He added that the election was marred with overvoting and alterations of result sheets and revealed that voting failed to take place at some polling units.
There was voter intimidation and harassment. Kalabalge, local government. There was no use of the beavers machine throughout the 10 wards of the local government. People without voters' cards were allowed to vote. Those with temporary voters' cards were allowed to vote contrary to the electoral guidelines. There was open use of US dollar bills by the APC officials to bribe INEC officials to manipulate the results. And in this case, this was prevalent not only in Kalabalge, but it was prevalent even here in Jere and in Metropolitan. Before the eyes of all our agents and our supporters that were at the collection centers, they were brandishing dollar bills and they were giving it to $200 to the presiding officers to change the results. And the action of changing the results was happening right before the eyes of everybody. They refused to complete the exercise at the units.
The senatorial candidate of the People's Redemption Party, Ilyas Ibrahim Gadu, has called for the immediate cancellation of the Taraba South Senatorial District election in Taraba State. Making the demand on Wednesday at a media parley in Jalingo, he identified the exclusion of his political party's logo from the ballot papers of the INEC as a major reason the exercise should be cancelled. Displaying the ballot papers before media men, Gadu called for the immediate cancellation and fresh elections with the party's logo included on the ballot papers. Gadu, who noted that his party duly applied and submitted their names to INEC to be uploaded on its portals for the 2023 elections, said he was disappointed on election day to discover that INEC excluded the PRP from the ballot papers of the senatorial elections, of which he was a bona fide candidate.
We're calling on INEC, we're calling on responsible Nigerians to ensure that justice is done to our party and to ourselves. So in conclusion, I state here that as a result of the unlawful exclusion of my party logo from the ballot paper of the senatorial elections as it concerns Southern Taraba, I'm calling on INEC to immediately cancel the purported Senate elections which took place on Saturday, February 25, and organize a fresh one with my party's logo included. That would accord me the opportunity of participating in the elections, because without my party's logo, I cannot participate in the elections. A wrong has been done to me, and the wrong has to be remedied, so that election could be said to be concluded. For now, whatever was done there in Ukari and Taraba, Southern Taraba, and whatever was declared by INEC is null and void and is actionable.
National Peace Committee, chaired by former Head of State Abdusalami Abubakar, has been called upon to swiftly intervene to ensure peace prevails in the country after the outcome of the presidential election. An APC chieftain in Zamfara State, Abdullahi Shinkafi, made the call against the backdrop of rejection of coalition by some opposition parties. The report.
Shinkafi described the letter written to President Muhammadu Buhari by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, calling on the cancellation of Presidential and National Assembly election as baseless, invitation to anarchy, and incitement of people against the government. The APC chieftain said those who feel aggrieved can approach the court for redress.
The presidential election was conducted, senatorial election was conducted, and House of Representatives election was conducted. And with the outcome of the election across the country, it has shown that the new technology introduced by INEC, beavers, and the unloading of the result sheet and transmission of the result from the polling unit. It has come to stay.
Shinkafi said the introduction of new technology, the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System (BVAS), has drastically reduced vote buying or selling, enabling unexpected candidates to win the election in some areas.
In some states where party is not strong, they can call it as a rigging phase one. Because sometimes unpatriotic INEC officials connive with some desperate politician to delay the distribution of materials. The game is clear. When they delay the distribution, they know that early women used to go and vote. And any woman where she go, even it's after 2 to 4, she'll be anxious to go back to her husband's house and cook for him. And they can use that tactics, especially in Zamfara, as a rigging phase one to rig some people out.
He urged Nigerians to exhibit sportsmanship in accepting outcome of election without recourse to violence.
Reactions are still trailing statements of former President Olusegun Obasanjo calling for cancellation of election results. Some academics in Jos, the Plateau State capital, say the statement is in bad faith and capable of throwing the country into violence. Ado Musa completes the report.
On Monday, the former president, in a message to President Muhammadu Buhari and the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, alleged that the coalition process of the presidential election was fraudulent and called for another fresh election in the country. Obasanjo's statement has continued to generate heated reactions from different quarters, with some lecturers kicking against the former president's position.
The person of Olusegun Obasanjo, who was the past leader of this country, for Obasanjo to call for the cancellation of this result, to me, is hypocrisy of the highest order. Because this is a man that conducted an election in 2007, okay? And the person that won that election, in the person of Alhaji Yaradua, himself confessed that that election was marred by a lot of irregularities. And it was on the basis of that Yaradua himself set up the Uwais committee to look at the electoral reformation of election, to look at the reformation of election in Nigeria. But Obasanjo, as a leader, at this time, that he should be calming the nerves of people, is the one calling for the cancellation of this election. To me, is the lowest that any person of his person can go.
I think this election is one of the fairest elections we've ever had in the country, considering a lot of things that have happened. Look at one of the major contestants of the ruling party. That's in person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who lost gallantly in his own constituency in Lagos. If not of a fair election, I don't think there was anything Labour Party not having even a councillor in Lagos, but then coming over Sudan from nowhere and see defeating Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If it were the former processes of the country, when we didn't have a very free and fair election, I think it would be very, very difficult for Bola Tinubu to be won in Lagos.
Many Nigerians, including President Buhari, accused the former president of trying to instigate crisis in the country, asking Nigerians to ignore him. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Away from that story, the gesture of a Christian that built a mosque for Muslims in Oshogbo, Osun State, came as a surprise to many and set tongues wagging within and outside the state. The issue is also generating controversy as to whether he will be rewarded by Allah for his good deed. Hamid Oyegbade, who visited the mosque, files this report.
Located close to the Oshogbo Central Market, traders and residents of the area observe daily 5 obligatory prayers at the old Alfa Oja Mosque. The old mosque had been there since time immemorial, and worshippers tried their best in sustaining the mosque to serve its purpose. The deputy chief imam of Oshogbo, Maruf Ishola, said a Christian who lived in the community during his childhood, Kayode Adegbulugbe, sought approval of Muslims to demolish the old mosque and rebuild a modern one for them.
You remember when he was young,
he used to read inside the mosque. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enriched him, he remembered and he decided to demolish the existing mosque, the traditional mosque. He demolished it, though the imam and some people refused him not to demolish it, but effectively he demolished it and he rebuilt another one.
One of the relatives of the donor, Muhyiddin Hamzat, dismissed the insinuation that the donor and his late mother stayed in the mosque when his late father bullied his mother and sent them out of his house.
This thing, we no expect it, but as God said that this thing we hold, so we thank God about it because of the brother who will come do this thing for us.
On his reward from Allah, the Deputy Chief Imam of Oshogbo said no one should judge the donor and that Allah will decide his case.
In case of a Christian who voluntarily built a mosque, is to the world, is in the sight of Almighty Allah. Only Almighty Allah can judge that one. That judgment belongs to Almighty Allah. But for a Muslim with a mosque, as the reward is the sight of Allah, that Allah will build a house for him on the day of judgment.
The new mosque is fully furnished and worshippers are grateful and praying for the donor. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Oshogbo.
Members of the Fourth Estate of the realm in Bauchi State are mourning the passing of a veteran journalist, Shehu Saulawa, whose death has been described as a great loss not only to his immediate family, but the society in general. They disclosed this at his residence while condoling with the family members. Adamu Imam files in this report.
Until his demise, Shehu Saulawa worked with Radio France International. Members of the media, family members, friends and well-wishers shortly after the funeral prayers visited his home to pay last respect and condole the bereaved family. Aisha Saulawa, his first daughter, says her father left a huge vacuum in her life. A colleague in the media industry briefly told Trust TV who Shehu Saulawa is, while his childhood friend and a former ambassador to Guinea-Conakry extolled Saulawa's virtues while alive.
It's more of a brother to me, because we attended the same secondary school in Government College, Kaduna, and he was 1 year ahead of me. Afterwards, we all succeeded in gaining admission into Bayero University, Kano, where we lived in the same room from the second year until the final year. So he has been a very motivating person to me. He's a religious person, he's also a very sociable person, and very hardworking. You can never be bored with Shehu around you. He'll make you laugh, he'll make you think, and you just feel him wherever you are, whether you are with him or you're not with him.
And we have been together during school days, and up till now we school together at all levels, and we married from the same family. So and Shehu Saulawa, I can confirm to you, he is a man of integrity, a man that loves religion, a man that loves togetherness. And throughout the period we have been together for over 30-40 years that we have known ourselves, we have never had for one day a single disagreement, staying in the same room while at the school in the university. We have really lost a veteran journalist, a banker, and everything. Sad, but we love him more, but Allah loves him more. And we only pray, may his gentle soul rest in perfect peace.
Saulawa, who died at 63 in Bauchi after a protracted illness, is survived by his aged mother, wife, and 5 children. He has since buried according to Islamic injunction. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says only 24% of loans collected by farmers under the Anchor Borrowers Program of the Central Bank of Nigeria have been repaid. This implies that 76% of the loans are yet to be paid. This is contained in the International Financial Organization latest country report titled Nigeria Selected Issues. The IMF said the report is based on the information available at the time it was completed on January 12, 2023. In the report, the IMF also said agricultural credit in the country has not significantly succeeded in increasing production due to the difficulty in getting the current recipients. It further said although the CBN allows farmers to pay in cash or give the central bank their produce of same value under the ABP, repayments have been very low. Banks' credit to the private sector rose from 35.18 trillion naira recorded at the end of January 2022 to 42.25 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2023. Figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria have shown. The CBN's money and credit statistics indicated that this amounts to a rise of 7.07 trillion naira in the one-year period. The figures also showed the total credit rose to 30.41 trillion naira at the end of January 2023 from 26.65 trillion naira at the end of January 2022. And finally in stocks, the Nigerian stock market on Wednesday admitted the bear, halting 5 straight days of gains as the all-share index dropped by 0.53% to close at 55,508.61 points. Market capitalization declined by 0.53% to close at 30.239 trillion naira, shedding 162 billion naira. The market broke close positive as 30 equities appreciated in their share prices against 12 equities that declined in their share prices. An aggregate of 565.8 million units of shares were traded in 4,340 deals valued at 6.58 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Thank you, Chiamaka, for the business report. And we move to the foreign scene, where Sudanese police have admitted a protester was shot and killed by its forces during a demonstration against military rule near the capital on Tuesday. Police said the shooting was an individual action that went against orders, adding that necessary legal procedures had been immediately taken against the policeman involved. The protester, identified as Ibrahim Masjoub, was killed in the Sharq al-Nil area near Sudan's capital. He became the 125th protester to be killed in weekly protests that were launched in the wake of the October 2021 coup, which plunged the country into crisis. The demonstration against the military and economic woes have been met by a violent crackdown, with hundreds of activists also being rounded up under emergency laws. Let's now join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
FIBA Africa has confirmed Angola as host country for 2023 FIBA African. Angola is the second country to host the competition since Mali hosted the inaugural edition of FIBA African in 2019. FIBA African is a 12-nation and quadrennial continental competition for home-based players. Semi-finals of the last edition and remaining 8 teams qualified through regional qualifiers from all FIBA Africa 7 zones. FIBA African President Anibal Manave praised Angola for the country's hosting experience and capabilities, as he encouraged the Southern African country to do its best to make this 2023 FIBA African a successful event. Teams that have qualified for this 2023 FIBA African are reigning champions DR Congo, Kenya, Angola and Morocco. FIBA African will take place from 8th to 16th July 2023. And in football, Nigeria's Flying Eagles have continued to receive accolades following their impressive performance in the ongoing Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. The Nigerian side qualified for the quarter-final of the biennial tournament after securing 6 points from 3 games. The team defender, Solomon Agbalaka, was listed among the team's best 11 of the group stage, while CAF also announced Nigeria's Flying Eagles as the Fair Play team winner of the group stage. Flying Eagles will face Uganda on Thursday for a place in the semi-final and above all 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup slot. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.